Hiroshi, don't oppose them. Let me go with them. Kaoru placed her hand on the fox demon's shoulder and spoke softly. The demonic aura surrounding the fox's body reluctantly returned to its normal state. The smile of the person in control of the situation is not enough to soothe the worries and waves of insecurity in the fox lover's heart. The demon rat affirmed in a firm voice. Believe in me. Hiroshi hugged Hyan and Haruka tightly in his arms, preventing the two children from running after Kaoru when they saw her going with the king of hell to the dead world. They disappeared like mist in the wind right before the fox's eyes. The children looked up at their father with sad and mournful eyes. Not receiving an answer from the fox demon, they leaned out of their father's arms, frantically searched around the area where their mother had disappeared, then together held their father's hand, begging him to find her. The fox kissed and reassured the children and then took them home. A day passed, then 2 or 3 days, but Kaoru didn't return. Hyan and Haruka could only hang around Hiroshi's private room, looking out the window with eyes full of hope and then surrounding the fox every time they saw him return after a day of work. The sight of the demon fox eating late at night with the children could not escape Dango's eyes. Standing and observing from a tree branch opposite the window of the fox demon's private room, the fire demon clearly saw all the actions and emotions on Hiroshi's face. Sometimes when the children discovered him, Dango just snorted coldly and quickly left. In the dead world, interrogations cannot exchange any valuable information. Having run out of options, the king of hell had to resort to whipping but only received the stubborn and icy gaze of the stubborn person. Kaoru knelt on the floor, looked straight at the leader of the dead, and responded with silence until she fainted. A bucket of cold water couldn't wake Kaoru up, and a strong whip couldn't even wake up the rat. Looking at the peaceful face of the person who fainted, Akiko sensed something unusual. She quickly begged the king of hell to stop the interrogation and urgently check Kaoru's health. The death guide withdrew her hand, her face pale with fear, but she still tried to call Kaoru's name a few more times. No response. Akiko stood up, trembling and reported, "Lord Pluto, she's dead." The king of hell was stunned for a moment because he did not dare to believe the truth before his eyes. The group of goblins performed an interrogation on Kaoru's body again and confirmed that what Akiko said was true. The king of hell left his position, personally verified it, then crossed his arms and frowned in thought. It's strange, she just died but we don't see her soul. Akiko, contacting with the Shinigami on duty in the human world and the dead world, asking them to capture Kaoru's soul, hurry. But my lord, she is dead. Do we need to chase and kill like that? We were too negligent. What we brought here to interrogate is just a soulless body. The king of hell affirmed. It was Akiko's turn to be stunned and dumbfounded because she did not dare to believe what the king of hell had just said. A god of death who had brought millions of souls to the dead world like her did not think she would be tricked by an elf as Kaoru. Because throughout the long journey, Akiko was always next to Kaoru and never noticed anything unusual from the rat demon. Kaoru suddenly passed away during the interrogation process, making Akiko really confused and awkward because she didn't know how to face and report this unfortunate incident to Hiroshi. Higa, Dango and Tateyama were silent before the story Akiko had just told. The Death Realm guide looked at the grass dyed with the eerie red color of the sunset and silently prayed that Hiroshi would not be shocked or angry when he learned that the Death Realm had directly caused Kaoru's death. The sound of the door being pushed aside broke the quiet atmosphere. The fox stood at the entrance, blocking all natural light, causing darkness to cover the upper half of his face, creating a cold, unpredictable expression. The door closed. Higa reluctantly turned on the light to clearly see the face of his teammate who had just arrived and felt relieved to know that Hiroshi had never been angry or upset. The fox demon sat next to Dango, observed the people present in the room and then proactively spoke. Everyone called me here, it must be urgent. I hope you will be very calm when accepting this truth. Akiko replied but did not dare to look directly into the eyes of the person who had just arrived. The Styx ferryman bowed her head, looked at the soft lines on the wooden floor, trying to find the right words of comfort. We weren't deliberate. But Kaoru is dead, Hiroshi continued with the hidden truth. The unusually calm tone surprised Akiko and the rest. They both looked towards the fox demon, trying to probe and confirm whether the fox demon was really okay with intentionally telling that painful truth. Hiroshi poured himself a cup of hot tea, took a sip and explained, "I knew about it last night." Exactly at midnight, the children suddenly woke up and burst into tears. At that time, I couldn't feel her aura anymore. "I am terrible sorry. She can't come back anymore. Allow me to be selfish for once because I don't want to accept forgiveness." The fox put down the cup of tea and stood up, walking towards the main door. "The death world and everyone are still my friends. However, I won't let this go unless Kaoru comes back to life." "Hiroshi," Higa reminded in an annoyed voice when he saw his teammates openly turning against the dead world because of a stranger. "Kaoru willingly came with you, but will the dead world have any mercy on her?" Hiroshi released several ghost insects. As soon as they flew up, they were cut off by sharp leaves soaked in poison. The fox demon looked at his teammates and affirmed, "Higa, if you put yourself in my situation, and the one who died was Chiharu, you would understand why I behaved like that." These short explanations, but more damaging than hundreds of sharp knives, made Higa clench his fists, retain some of his composure, and let the demon fox leave the temple peacefully. Dango also disappeared before dark. No one knew where the evil eye monster went and they didn't question it either. Seeing the fox demon sitting still, looking lifelessly at the withered purple flower, and letting the children play with his hair, Dango picked up a stone and threw it on the glass window to remind his teammates of his existence. As soon as Hiroshi opened the door, a series of quick, shiny swords continuously attacked as if trying to take his life. The children did not hesitate to confront each other as they were eliminated from the battle with just one sword strike. If the fox demon hadn't had time to use his hand to block the sword, Hyan and Haruka would have taken the brunt of the damage. "Dango, this is my room," Hiroshi reminded and pressed the blade down. "But a few minutes ago, the person here was not you." Dango retrieved his weapon and calmly sat on the fox demon's bed, leaning his back against the wall at the head of the bed, smiling provocatively. "So I came in here to kill the intruder." Responding to that smile was a gentle smile and a sigh of relief. The fox demon took the two children to the garden outside the window and took out the bottle of medicine hidden behind the bookshelf, explaining, "Kaoru is the final ingredient to complete this medicine. She's dead. The death world didn't return her body to me, so I don't know what to find to replace it. Or do you need that corpse to revive her?" Dango glanced at his teammates, revealing, "Before you came, Akiko told us that when we arrived in the dead world, Kaoru was already a soulless corpse. That is, her soul secretly escaped from her body before reaching the realm of death. Do you hide that part of her soul? She has never been here before. Stealing is your specialty." Dango laughed again. "If you like, just do what you want. The security door in the realm of death can't stop you, can it?" Hiroshi smiled and nodded. At midnight, the Death Realm Task Force was in a commotion when they discovered that Kaoru's body suddenly disappeared for unknown reasons. There were no signs at the scene that a thief had broken in. Fuese was urgently summoned to the Dead Realm, coordinating with a special task force to investigate the mysterious disappearance. Just then, Zero hurriedly ran to the main hall, informing Hiroshi to come to the Judgment Door to claim Kaoru's body, making the King of Hell even more confused. "I thought you stole her body," the King of Hell confessed. "I don't want to get myself into any more trouble," Hiroshi calmly responded. "What I want is Kaoru's body. Akiko said that after she died, you kept her body here. It was gone before you arrived. Or did you intentionally burn it?" You. Angry eyes faced sharp and cold eyes. The King of Hell did not expect that just because of a strange girl, Hiroshi was willing to doubt and openly confront Death World. The fox still stood at the door of judgment, waiting for a satisfactory answer. Fuese and the Death Realm Task Force walked to the door of judgment and announced, "That body really disappeared as if it had never appeared here." To prove that what he said was true, Fuese took Hiroshi into the body preservation room and let the demon fox see where Kaoru's body was kept. The inside of the ice coffin was completely empty, There was no trace of the decomposed body, and the layer of charms strung around it showed no damage at all. Hiroshi brought his hand closer to the talisman thread. White light flared up like a fueled fire and made the fox demon's hand bleed. Hiroshi withdrew his hand, looked at the deep cuts that were bleeding, and then looked at the empty coffin, his eyes not showing any emotion. No matter what type of monster, strong or weak, if you want to get what's inside the coffin, you must break the magic net protecting the coffin. And the trapped person who wants to escape must do the same. Kaoru's body is the first case of escaping from a magic net without damaging the net. Fuese affirmed, then glanced at Hiroshi's icy face that hid his emotions, frowning in question. You were with her, surely you know what evil magic she uses. Kaoru is human. A person with a bit of demonic energy. That's all. On what basis do you dare to make such an assertion? Hiroshi looked at the female detective from the dead world and replied in a calm voice and very calm attitude. Most demons can absorb human blood, but she cannot. Even a small number of monsters cannot absorb human blood. Higa is a monster, but he also doesn't drink human blood. Fuese objected, her tone becoming harsh. Do you really not know, or are you intentionally not knowing? Higa's case is an exception. He's different from Kaoru. To be more precise, Higa is a half-demon, raised by humans, so he has lost some of his species' instincts. Hiroshi countered with a very calm attitude. I've been with Kaoru long enough to trust her. And it's enough that I believe in her. Fuese was angry but couldn't find reason to continue arguing. She silently let Hiroshi leave the body storage room. The fox went to a Yame restaurant, walked around as if to recall some memories, then closed the door and created another layer of magic net to protect the cold house. The children still didn't want to believe the truth. They kept pulling Hiroshi's hair, signaling to go inside the barrier to check again. The loss came so suddenly that the children did not want to believe the truth. They believed Kaoru was still alive and was afraid that the chimpanzee would be sad when she woke up but saw no one. The fox just patted their heads and left the land full of sad memories. Akiko disguised herself as an ordinary person, lurking in the crowd, secretly observing and then sighing bitterly when she saw Hiroshi walking quietly, alone in the crowded street. Fuese followed Hiroshi until the demon fox returned to his room. Apart from the two children born from plants, the place where the fox was resting was completely normal. Once he was sure that the room did not contain a wanted soul, Fuese informed Akiko and the King of Hell and then hurriedly left. The female detective did not know that Dango was standing on the roof of a skyscraper apartment building and looking at her. If it was Hiroshi, wouldn't you guys follow along so easily? It seems that the people of the dead world really put me on the blacklist after the declaration of war just now. Hiroshi stood behind Dango and spoke. Even without turning around, the fire demon realized that the old Hiroshi had truly returned. Dango smiled slightly and commented, "You're playing so wild, surely you had a plan in advance." Of course. Hiroshi's emerald eyes revealed a deep and challenging look. They declared war. I have to fight.